Hi friends, and welcome to Fiber and Floral, a mostly knitting podcast. On this channel, I mainly talk about knitting, but I also talk about embroidery and sewing and spinning. Sometimes I'll post videos about pattern roundups, and I just did one on gift knitting. This video, I'm going to be sharing with you everything I've been working on in the month of October. October was a pretty crazy month here. It started with going to Berlin Knits, which was a huge knitting and fiber and wool festival in Berlin, the city that I live in, and it was so much bigger than I expected. Actually, it was quite overwhelming, but I got some really beautiful, so soft yarns I'm really excited to share with you. I'll be sharing acquisitions, if you will, or what I bought at the end. My family went on a little fall vacation over the fall break with some friends of ours, and it was just perfect. It's been quite cold here, and so getting away to somewhere, it wasn't completely warm, but a little bit warmer, it was lovely, and got to do a lot of knitting and just like relaxing with friends, and it was wonderful. I'm really excited to show you what I've been working on. Some things that I finished this month I've had in my mind for over a year. And yeah, I'm pretty thrilled with how things went in October. So first I'll start with what I'm wearing. This is a brand new outfit. And it has a fun story behind it. So the vest is currently in testing. It is the Petali vest by In Her Skein, Maria Eve. And I'll put some B-roll into the side so you can kind of see it, but it has these lovely little scallop edges, and as you can see also it's not knit top down, it's knit side to side, and so you pick up here on the cast on, this is your cast on edge, and then you split for, so you start by knitting the shoulder, and then you split off and do the front, do the back, and then bring it together again for the shoulder and cast off, and then you add in the sides. And this pattern she's designed to be pretty versatile. This is knit with Rosa Pomar Vovo, and I'll go into the yarn later, but it's a woolly knit. She also has another version, and this version also has lower underarms, which is good for wearing a shirt or a dress underneath. She also has a version that's designed for more summer plant-based yarns, and it has a higher armhole opening so that you can wear it as more like a tank top by itself in the summer, which is pretty great. I don't know if I've ever seen a vest pattern that's really designed to be a vest and a tank top. I'm sure there's some out there, but I've just never knit one, and I really love that this is something that I can knit for basically all seasons in whatever yarn I want, and just need to change the armholes. And there's also a cropped length and a longer length. It was pretty tricky because I am pretty petite. I had to do some math because even the cropped length was going to be too long. She includes measurements. I actually had to do math based off my gauge, and because I wanted to hit right at my waist, and I accomplished that. It's absolutely perfect. I think it's on my Ravelry if you're interested to know what I did. I'm around 152 centimeters or 5'1". So if you're interested in knitting this that are around my height, of course, even within height, torso and leg are different. So really just look at those measurements. Don't be afraid to change anything. But really fun, interesting construction. I love the scallops. I think that just adds such a nice touch. And if you've been watching long enough, you know how I love a simple stockinette piece with a little eye-catching detail. And I think these scallops are just perfect. They don't take away from what you're wearing underneath, but they do add just a little something that I think makes it really sweet and feminine. The yarn, I used Vovo by Rosa Pomar, which is technically a sport weight gauge. This is designed DK or a 21 stitch gauge on 4mm needles. However, Vovo, I really think, and I've actually ordered a little bit more for my husband's birthday present, for my husband's birthday sweater, which will probably turn into his next year's birthday sweater. But, and it's also a DK weight sweater that is a 21 stitch gauge, and I'm going to use this Vovo again. So I think it's more of a heavy sport or a light DK. So once again, this is where gauge is important. You're not really following fingering sport or DK. You're more looking at that gauge. And so for me, what's labeled as something doesn't always meet my gauge that I don't know I'm going to get at. So this was designed in Brusca from Rosa Pomar. So I used something similar, but I was just really in love with the logo. I'll post that here because I don't think I have any skeins left. Or if I do, I don't know where they are. I love her and I want to be her. I've said this before. This is my dream woman right here. But this is my first time using this yarn, and I think it's going to be the favorite yarn I've used this year. And I've used some pretty amazing yarns this year, so that's saying a lot. I think the affordability for how soft it is, and it looks rustic, but I love the color. I think that's what's really special about Rosa Pomar, is that all of the colors are so wonderful and heathered, but like it still looks like a solid color from far away, but it's got some nice, it just adds so much. I think the color is just stunning, and I think all their colors are just my vibe. So it has the appearance of a rustic yarn, but it's really soft. It's definitely not the softest thing, but I would have no problem wearing this around my neck or against my skin. I think, and it's just as affordable. I think I paid 5, maybe 6 euros per skein. If you love Pure Ghent, you should switch to this. This has a little bit of a lighter gauge than Pure Ghent, but I think that their yarns are like the new Sandnes Gone, in my opinion. I like them so much better, and they're just as affordable. I like this. This will be my go-to DK weight yarn now, or a 21 stitch gauge yarn. I actually have Brusca coming in the mail too, and I'm hoping to get an 18 stitch gauge out of that. And then I actually bought their Matisse recently, to do a 15 stitch gauge sweater, which I'll show you later. So I'm quite obsessed with their yarn. I think I've been so impressed with their yarns and how they have, the look of being rustic while still wearable for me. I'm kind of realizing that I am more of a wimp when it comes to like rustic yarns, as much as I want to be, as much as I love them and I love the history behind them. I am kind of realizing that, at least where I am in my life right now, I had some skin problems over the summer. So I'm just like really sensitive to things against my skin right now. And I think this is just such a wonderful yarn for the price and the colors and everything else. And because it is a sport weight, you get 140-ish meters. I think it's 143 per 50 gram skein. So even though I got a DK weight gauge, I only needed 3 balls of this to make this vest, which is really impressive. Now I had very little left, so I would definitely still order 4 if you're interested in using the same yarn, but I'm really happy would use this over and over and over. I think this is just going to be one of my favorite projects of the year. And then the shirt is also new. It is the, oh goodness, I always forget the name. Hang on. The Seamwork Romy top from Seamwork. And I actually panic sewed this. We left on Saturday morning at 3 a.m. on vacation. And I got this fabric in the mail on Friday, washed it, hung it up on my radiator to dry, and I actually started sewing it while the fabric was still damp. It was not ideal, but I wanted this top so badly. I think Marie, the designer of this vest, has a top similar to this that she's worn with this for pictures, and I just couldn't get it out of my head. And I found the fabric. It's actually fabric that I've had my eye on for 2 or 3 years now. It is a viscose linen from Self Made, and so I just finally realized it was time. It's a little more expensive than I would typically pay for fabric, but I figured since I've been coming back to it for 3 years now, it was worth it. And it was. I love it. I wasn't really sure about the collar, but it's something like, I don't think that I pull off collars. I think it makes me look really schoolgirl. But because of the embroidered, and I think because it's a Peter Pan collar and I'm wearing it more, I don't know, I think this one just looks really nice on me. It doesn't make me feel schoolgirl. So I'm so happy that I give this a chance. I'm going to take off my top so you can see the rest of the blouse. The pattern comes with short sleeve puffs, but because that's just not practical for my environment right now, I used a sleeve pattern I already have. I think this is like the M793 sleeve. It's like a 3/4 length sleeve to a long sleeve, kind of in between for me. But I love this sleeve with like the cuff on the end and you bring it in together. I just think that looks really lovely and classy. And then as far as the like torso fit, I chose this because I've seen a lot of, and I think it's really popular to have like with women's blouses where they really parachute out and you have this big like mushroom when you tuck it in. And I didn't want that. I find that really comfortable and I have a lot of blouses. I specifically wanted this to wear underneath vest. I didn't want a lot of fabric underneath because it's just not comfortable. And so I liked that this was more of a fitted, but it's still loose. As you can see here, I'll pull my camera down a little bit. Yep. It's still loose and flowy, but it's definitely like compared to some mushroomy blouses or some blouses that I have, it doesn't really mushroom out. Another plus for me, I really hate doing collars. My husband loves collared shirts and I will sew him collared shirts every now and then, but I hate doing the collar. Like I can do it and it looks good. I just don't like it. And this is actually really easy. Instead of like having to like, if you've ever sewn a collar, you like assemble it and then have to sew half of it on and the other half you basically turn under so this is enclosed. It's doable. It's not something I enjoy doing. You have to be really precise. Whereas this actually, though it looks like a true collar, it's actually a faux collar. It actually has a facing here. So you just sew this in both sides together and then you apply the facing. This was really easy. It came together really quickly. I started sewing this around like 4 or 5 in the afternoon and finished by 8 p.m. And that includes like putting my kids to bed, cooking dinner, packing for our trip. So, yeah, I'm really happy. I've worn this by itself. I've worn this with the vest. I've worn it with a skirt. I'm just in love. I think this is just, I think there's something so classic about a white blouse. But because I wore a white blouse so much with uniforms growing up, I think it's just hard for me not to picture schoolgirls. And so I think the embroidery really adds to like a more modern adult vibe for me. So I'm really happy that I finally took the plunge in this fabric and this pattern. It's definitely something I'm going to consider going back to in the future. I still think I have to be really careful about what fabrics I use and what prints, but I'm willing to say collars might be for me, which is something that I've kind of been scared of for a while. So a huge success. I'm gonna put my vest back on though, because this is a knitting podcast. So my next 2 finished objects, I'm gonna talk about them together because I did matching chicken socks for me and my husband. His birthday is in a week, less than a week. And with Socktober coming, I wanted to go knit us matching chicken socks. I am so pleased. I finished them last night. I was like panic doing the toe. I only took the blue with me on vacation. And so I did up until the toe and I came back and like panic knit that last night. So I could say I officially finished these during Socktober. The only thing I haven't done is I've only done, you go back. So you knit the chickens. Let me see where you can see that without the face on them. And then you go back and duplicate stitch the face later. So I've only done 2 out of the 4. I've done one of my chickens. Oh, the camera is not where I'm expecting it to be every time. But I need to go back and do the other one. I'm just really happy. The egg on the toe is probably my favorite part. I am obsessed. I was worried about running out of yarn, and so I did a red heel on mine, and I had plenty of yarn actually. I also did mine a little bit shorter. He likes longer socks. I really like his blue heel, and I wish I had trusted myself, but I wanted to make sure I had enough for his. And so it is what it is. I still think it looks nice, and I do think it adds actually a little bit of like rusticness to the sock, whereas I think this one looks cleaner, but still really happy with them. And it's easy to just differentiate which sock is ours. Mine also has some like twist on the cuff from our cables, I guess. Words, y'all. Every podcast, I think I say this. It has cables on the cuff from the monthly cuff club from Summerly Knits. And yeah, I used, for the main color, I used Malabrigio sock yarn in the colorway Agua, which I just love. I've never used Malabrigio before, but I just think like the color differentiation, it's so subtle, but so lovely. Like, look at those aquas and the teals, and I just love this color. It definitely makes me want to knit more with it in the future. However, a lovely viewer did write and tell me that this bleeds really bad, and I actually haven't blocked them yet because I'm worried that my little white chickens are going to be light blue when I'm done. I did get some color catcher. I actually got way too much color catcher. I got like a liquid one and a fabric one because I'm really, really worried. And I'm just going to like over put the color catcher in the bowl and put in like freezing cold water when I block these. But I'm quite nervous. And so I wanted to show you when my socks, and probably even take pictures of them beforehand just in case. But so in the future, if I were to buy this yarn, which I absolutely will, it's worth it. I will wash the skein before I knit with it, especially if I'm using white contrast colors. Wish me luck, friends. I have a lot of finished objects this month. I really feel a little weird about it. I don't think this is my typical outworking, but I was sick for a week this month, and so were my kids. So take that in mind. But another finished object is a turtleneck that I sewed after finishing this blouse. I had already had this cut out for like 6 months, and I was like, oh, I'll be able to wear this together, and it does go well together. And so I just sat down and it was sewn in 30 minutes. This is my go-to t-shirt pattern, Seamwork the Orlando tee by Seamwork, that I just have to have a turtleneck and long sleeves using a few other patterns of theirs that I have. I was a Seamwork member for almost a year, and so I have about 25 of their patterns that I kind of just like hack together to make what I want. It's a great way to build a pattern library if you're interested in sewing. They have lots of really good basics that I got during that year and then just keep going back to. So yeah, the Orlando tee, and I forget what I got the long sleeves from and the mock neck from, but a couple of their other patterns, and I'm really happy with it. On the way back, we flew back yesterday from our vacation, and I wore this top with this vest and some mom jeans, and I just thought it was so comfortable. We left, I had to wake up at 5 a.m. to get to the airport, and so comfortable, but I thought I looked so cool. I'm gonna post a picture here because I really liked it. Definitely will be wearing that outfit again. And then what's really exciting is this is my longest. I've been knocking out the whips this fall. Last month I finished my book club cardigan, which only had one sleeve left. It was sat in my whip pile for a year, and this one has sat in my whip pile almost as long with, you guessed it, just one sleeve left. I knocked out, so this is the Andrea Mowry Everyday DRK Everyday Sweater. It is a sport weight gauge, I think around 21 stitches. Huh, interesting. 21 stitch gauge. It is knit on 3.5 millimeter needles. And however, I did go up, she recommends going up to 3.75 for the sleeves. The first time I knit the first sleeve, I used 3.5 and was like, I'm a loose knitter, it'll be fine. The sleeve was too tight. Is anyone surprised? So I went back and knit it on 3.75 millimeter needles, and it is perfect. This yarn is Fiber Natura, Kingston Tweed from Fiber Natura in the color Dravite or 116. And it is just this gorgeous tweedy chocolate brown. I bought this in Baltimore when we were visiting my husband's family from Black Sheep Wool Shop, I believe. And that's a wool shop next time we go to visit. We're planning on visiting again next spring before my daughter starts first grade. And I will definitely be going back and spending all my money there. I can really recommend it if you're in like the Baltimore or DC area. So, and then I decided that it was too boring and plain for me. Even though I love this color and I love this sweater pattern, I wanted just something to give it a little bit of pizzazz. And so I had recently gotten the book Embroidery on Knits by Judith Gumlich. And yeah, she had a couple, she has so many patterns in here. I'm actually planning to do embroidery again on a sweater, which I'll get into. But let me see if I can find. So this is the original pattern. And I kind of tweaked it around so that it would go around the neckline. So I I printed the embroidery. I printed the design on embroidery paper, which sticks to my fabric, and then kind of like cut around so it would really wrap around the neckline. And I actually think this sweater is perfect if you want to do like an over the shoulder embroidery, because with a raglan, you're going to have raglan stitches or something like that. But this one, of course, it's in the round. And so there's nothing to get in your way on the shoulder seams. So if you do have an idea for that, I would definitely recommend doing a circular yoke. I didn't even think about that until I started embroidering, but happily by accident did not have the problem of seams getting in the way. I mean, you could just embroider over them, it's no big deal, but I think this looks really clean and I'm so happy with it. This was so much fun to do. I had never embroidered on a knit before, and this book made it so easy. I do recommend getting embroidery paper. You can either get embroidery paper that sticks directly onto your fabric. I got mine from Joann's, rest in peace. When I was back in the States a few years ago, and I need to try to track it down because I'm running low, but it's lasted me a couple years. You can either trace onto it or you can even stick it in your printer and print it out, which is what I did. I do that typically for larger designs. And then when you're done, you stick it in water and it dissolves. Fantastic. Really, really worth. I think I paid $10 for it, but it came with like 12 pages and I've probably used 8 in 3 years. And I do embroider quite a lot, so that's saying something. I'm very careful with pattern placement. So yeah, this is the DRK sweater. Really lovely, would absolutely knit it again. I love the fit. It's a very tight fit. I'll try to post a photo here so you can see how it fits. It's a very fitted sweater. You could knit it more oversized. I think I did choose one, I think she recommends 5 to 15 centimeters of positive ease. And I think I was like 5 centimeters of positive ease, on the lowest. But I love the fit. I love the crop length. I love the 2x2 rib. This is a go-to sweater for me again in the future. Love it. And yeah, really happy that I did the embroidery. My last finished object is my baby girl's birthday sweater. I shouldn't say a baby, she's 6. And look at this glory. This is very her. I cannot describe my daughter other than colorful, bright, and loud in the best ways. She went through my stash. She's very picky, so I very rarely sew or knit for her anymore unless she demands it and basically picks everything out herself. And so I did ask her, do you want me to make you something for your birthday this year? And she did say a sweater, and I know how it is when I knit for her. I was like, okay, then you're gonna pick out every single detail, because if I'm gonna put work into this, you're gonna wear it. So she went through my stash, picked out the most expensive yarn I had in my stash, but it is the Novita Helena, which was left over from a test knit with Colibri, Joanna by Colibri. It is a glorious yarn. I think it's the Novita Helena held with Novita Edith. And I can't remember if Helena is the fingering weight yarn, which one's the mohair and which one's the fingering, but the fingering weight yarn is like 30% silk, 20% alpaca, and like 50% merino. It is like gloriously soft. Like look at this halo, like it's just glory. It's so soft, so silky. I really enjoy wearing my sweater, and so I knew that she was going to enjoy wearing this. I still have to get matching photos of us actually in our sweaters. And so once she picked out the yarn, we went through Ravelry and looked for sweaters, and we landed on the Andy Sweater Junior by Joanna by Colibri. So that actually, I love that she picked this, because this was leftover yarn from a test knit. So when we match our yarns, we're also going to match designers. And Joanna also knits a lot for her family, and specifically her little girl shows up a lot in her pattern designs. And so it kind of felt really special to knit her a designer that I love, and also like the designer has a little girl almost around the same age. Actually, I think she's a couple years older. So then now we needed 5 colors of mohair. We went through my stash. These mohairs are also left over from a different project by Joanna that I'm not allowed to show you yet, but I will. Sometime in winter, the pattern should come out. Together, they are loud and bright and wonderful. So the Andy Sweater Junior it's a simple raglan stockinette, only every 6th row, you add in little baubles of mohair. And I think I mentioned in my last podcast that I didn't want to sew in all these baubles. And so I did the irresponsible thing, but the right thing for me at the time. And I just triple knotted and cut. I left like a centimeter. We'll see. But she adores this sweater. I'm really happy with it. Joanna, what a fabulous pattern. Stunning work. This makes me really happy to look at, and it was really, really fun to knit. That being said, if I don't knit a bauble for like 6 months, I'm cool with that. So those are my finished objects. I only have 2. Do I have 2 whips? I feel like I have more. Oh well, I'm gonna go with 2. My first whip you've already seen. It's just, I'm slowly making progress on my grid gambit cowl. I am halfway done. I really thought this was going to go fast, but I think I've just been too excited about other projects that I was working on that this one kind of fell to the wayside this month. I did knit like another chart. So like I'm like roughly a little over halfway done. I'm going to try to knock this out this week. I'm ready for it to be done. I'm really excited. And because it is a gift knit, I know that I need to like get more serious about gift knitting. Now it is November. It is November 1st, but it is time. Game on, friends. If you're still deciding what to gift knit, I have a recent video that walks through everything I'm planning to gift knit this season. Give it a listen. And yeah, I'm not going to say too much more about this because I've shown this quite a bit and it's still not done yet. So I'm going to move on. My other whip is brand new and I am so excited about it. This is the Rustic ballerina sweater by Madame Filou on Instagram. I just randomly saw this. I love her style. She's got phenomenal style. I love her pieces. They are more form-fitting, which I think is really interesting, especially right now. I feel like sweaters tend to be more oversized and I do like a tighter fit. This is actually a negative ease sweater. I think it's maybe 7 centimeters or roughly 3 inches of negative ease for me. Obviously there's like a span of inches you can be, but I think for my size, I have roughly 7 centimeters of negative ease. And I think that's really interesting to see a couple sweaters coming out with negative ease. And I think it's always good to have diversity in your wardrobe. So I was really excited to knit this up. It is a simple raglan sweater, but it has this really lovely ruffle, and it's not showing it very well because it's not blocked. I'll post a picture of me wearing it so you can kind of see it a little bit better, but it's a simple raglan sweater with a little, it's very cropped and has a little ballerina-ish ruffle on the waistband, and then it'll have balloon sleeves. Very quick knit. I cast this on, I think on the way to the airport, and it's been almost a week and I'm done with the body. It is knit using, I think she designed it in Letalopi. I didn't want to wait because I got notified of the test knit a day before leaving for my vacation, and I wanted to cast it on. I went to Wollin Berlin and got Matisse from Rosa Pomar. And it is a worsted weight gauge. I got a 15 stitch gauge on 4.5 millimeter needles. Once again, she specifically mentioned that you really want a rustic yarn for this sweater because it is negative ease. And so I'm really glad I chose this though, because I think Letalopi tends to be quite scratchy and I don't know if I can handle that. It's gorgeous yarn, but right now where my skin is, I just don't think I can handle it. But Matisse has that rustic feel, but it's still soft enough for my skin. And I'm really, really happy with it. I think it's going to be, I tried it on yesterday when I came home with like a skirt and a dress, and I'm so pleased. It's stunning. I can't wait to wear this. I started the arm very briefly last night. It's just a quick vanilla knit, but I think it's going to be really lovely. And I love the little ruffle at the bottom. Can't say enough. And it only takes, I'm a little bit worried. I'm definitely playing yarn chicken, but she said for her size large, she only used 300 grams. And so I only bought 300 grams or 3 skeins of Matisse. So at 12 euros, I think, and I paid with a gift card for this. Someone gave me a gift card for my birthday there. And so I paid well, it was with a gift card, it was free, but it was only 36 euros for this whole sweater, provided I have enough yarn to finish a size large. So that's not bad at all. That's a really affordable sweater, especially a great brand like Rosa Pomar. I really love them. And so pulling out Judith's book again, there is a sweater that I have been obsessed with. I literally gasped when I saw it, and now I'm trying to find it. Here it is. This is the floral crest pattern, and like, look at this. Absolutely stunning. So I'm going to do very similar colors. I think I'm going to do like an olivey green and maybe an orange, a burnt orange for the center flower, like almost red burnt orange. And then I'll do light pink accents. And I think that is going to be stunning. It's going to be so cute. So I had plans to knit like a plain white sweater to do this design ever since I got this book. So this was just a bonus that it happened to be a test knit, but yeah, I'm really happy. It's knitting up so quick, and I'm really excited about this yarn. So I'm definitely on a Rosa Pomar kick right now. I'm just lovely Nunavut yarn brand. So those are all, oh no, I guess we'll slowly transition into what I got at the Berlin Knits Festival, if y'all bear with me. But to transition, I also started spinning up some fiber that I got there. And this is the, let me see. This is the Perendale There May Be Giants fiber from Frau Wolfchen. She is a fiber dyer, a German fiber dyer that I have known about for a long time, but have never gotten her blends. I knew she was going to be there. Didn't think I was going to buy anything from her. I was like, I have enough fiber. It's fine. I bought three hanks from her. This is the first one. I got basically to try to keep this brief, I finished spinning my fiber for the framed sweater by Andrea Mowry. This is what I did. I have never spun fiber that I did not dye. And I think it just turned out a lot differently than I was expecting. I think this would be lovely as like a cowl or something in stockinette, but with design, I was worried it was just gonna be too busy of a yarn. So I'm still gonna use this. It's really soft. So I think this is gonna be a traveler cowl by Andrea Mowry. And so I wanted to go back and try again. So I got some fiber. I got There May Be Giants. And then I also got, so I'm gonna do 1 ply in There May Be Giants. And then the other color is called Autumn. So I think these play well together. I think they have similar colors and they're just kind of like different shades of the same color. Like this one has a little bit darker teal and a little bit darker maroon. So I think it's going to add some interest, but ultimately very similar colors. And instead, one thing that I did with my first try at the sweater was that I divided the yarn too much. Like when I was, so the hank comes like this. And so I split it into fourths and spun it up that way. And I think the color just changed too rapidly. And especially for a sweater, that's not what I wanted. I want a subtle change of color up the sweater. So what I did was I just spun like this, didn't divide the thing at all. I did like kind of prep it a little bit more since I was doing that and kind of pulled it apart. But I spun it really slowly so the color change is slower. And I'm gonna do that with my second ply as well. Now, I only did half of this because I'm gonna go back. I did 70, so these hanks come in 150 grams. I did 75 grams. And then I'm gonna do 75 grams of this to form the body. And then I'm gonna go back and actually am gonna split this in two and do another 150 grams for the sleeves. Since the sleeves, so you get the same color effect of the change. And like, so the stripes on the arms won't be longer than the stripes on the body. We'll see how it goes. I want to get this right. I think this is a sweater that I've been dreaming of for a long time. I'm willing to keep trying with yarns because I'm getting gorgeous yarns. I'm going to use them. So I'm learning a lot about color theory, and that's part of the learning process. I'm really happy with these and I'm really excited. I didn't do too much spinning this month actually, and I definitely like feel that coming back on. I might try to spin up some of this tonight so I can ply soon. And then the other fiber I got, which didn't need, but couldn't resist. After I knit my yak scarf a few months ago, I've been obsessed with yak. I actually did get some yak sock yarn as well. I saw this fiber. It is 60% Polworth, which Polworth, I cannot say it with a German accent. Polworth is an Australian breed of sheep, similar to, it's an ancestor of the merino sheep, but it's also a longer haired sheep. I did some research on it. I'm going to be dyeing that fiber on my next fiber school video, which I'm really behind on that, but it's okay. So they're an Australian brand of sheep. Very, very soft. I think the micron count is like 19 or 20. And then it's also combined with yak, which has a micron count of like 15 or 16. Very similar to cashmere, so soft. And then it also has 20% silk. And I wasn't gonna buy this, and then I was like, can I just feel it? I don't think I'm gonna buy it. And she literally, the owner, I forget her name, but she was there and she was like, if I let you feel that, you're gonna buy it. And I was like, that's what I'm worried about. And she was like, they don't feel it. And I was like, but I want to. And she was like, okay. And then I like opened it and I kind of looked at her and she was like, come on. So I appreciate her trying to save me, but also being like, girl, you know you're gonna buy that. And it's true. And actually, I'm not mad because I was actually considering this color. This is Rosebud. It's like gorgeous. Here, I'll just pull it out real fast. It came in the bag and I've been worried because I knew it was gonna be a while before I got to it. But it has these gorgeous olive greens that transition to these beautiful pinks. Like, how beautiful will this be for like a spring scarf? Ooh, maybe I'll do like a buy me flower scarf or something. I really love matching like yarn colors that are named after things to their, like to a pattern. Like I did the Sadness Garn croissant colorway with the field sweater, which has like grain motifs. And so like croissants and grain are similar. So like a rosebud scarf, like a rosebud colorway with like some kind of like floral colorwork scarf would be really fun. I'm so excited about this. Did not mean to get fiber, did not plan to get fiber, got fiber. Yeah. Another thing I got, speaking of yak sock yarn, I already caked this up and I'm going to forget the name of it. So let me just pull this up in Ravelry. This is yak sock yarn from the Stardies Spinnery. And they are, I think they're 70% merino, 20% yak, and 10% nylon. And I just, oh, here's the label. She's so smart. Yeah, it is a fingering weight sock yarn, and there's the label in case you're interested. It is a German yarn company. Basically almost all the yarn booths were German, and smaller small businesses. Only the German words coming to me. And I wasn't expecting that either. I was pleasantly surprised. Like I was giddy being like, oh my gosh, there are alpacas and such, and there's blah, 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 and such. Like what? And so it was really great. There was actually a yarn company. I didn't get it. But there was a yarn company from the town where my mom's husband is from, like a very obscure small town in, near Bamberg. And I talked to them for a while and it was just really lovely. I wasn't expecting that, and I'm fully on board. I think that's why I spent more than I planned, was because I was just so happy to find out about all these different German small businesses, like local to me, German small businesses that I can support and have these really unique fibers and colors. So a yak sock yarn, so fun, so soft. Like I said, yak has a micron count similar to cashmere, which means it's almost equally as soft, and thrilled. I think these are going to be the Pontel socks from In Her Skein, which is already in my library. And I might cast it on this month. I might go ahead and cast on my Christmas socks that are also going to be a pattern by her. So we'll see what happens. But, and then speaking of the alpaca farm, I got some alpaca from, what was this called? Why isn't it? I must have lost the label because all I have is what it is. But there was an alpaca farm that was there, and they make their own yarn, and it was from Saxony, which is a state in Germany and one of our favorite hiking areas. We've been there a lot as a family, and my husband and I spent a lot of time hiking there when we were dating. And so when I found out there was an alpaca farm in the area, I went a little crazy and got this lovely olive DK weight. Really special. And then the last thing, I think, is that the last thing I bought? Yes. The last thing I bought was this glorious yarn. I had never heard of this company, but I love the label. I think it's so fun. It is Zemlin Dye Works, and I don't remember where they're from. I also walked around with Isa and Angie, two friends of mine, and I think we all got this yarn. We like touched it and all like together gasped, and like everyone, we were just like watching people come up and touch this yarn, and we're like, it is 70% baby alpaca, 20% silk, and 10% cashmere, non-superwash. Oh, it's so soft. Beautiful. Honestly, the hardest part, like we all knew as soon as we touched it, we were just like, great, we're buying this. We had actually planned to just like walk around and not buy anything our first round, and all of us bought this. Like, no questions asked, we're buying this. And I'm so pleased. I love this color. It's a fingering weight, 400 meters to 100 grams. And I'm still deciding. I think this might become a daisy chain scarf, but I'm gonna like see what happens in the spring. This is definitely, I like to knit with the like you don't have to, but I do like to knit like olive greens and rusty oranges in fall, and in spring I kind of transition to more like light purples and pinks. Just not like, I don't feel like I have to wear those colors, but I do feel like it helps me keep in touch with the seasons and really enjoy the colors around me naturally if I'm also like working with those colors. So yeah, this stunning. And then the last thing, I didn't get this at the festival. Oh my gosh, I didn't even mention, I met Sari Nordlund at the festival. She was there and I went to the meet and greet. Oh my gosh. And I stood in line and kind of just like really briefly just got to say hello. I was wearing her book club cardigan and just got to say hello and tell her how much I enjoyed knitting her cardigan. And really looking forward. I love the turtle dove sweater that she's developing right now. I got to talk to her just like for like 2 minutes about the design process and how enjoyable it is to watch her design these really stunning pieces of art. And so that was really fun. Yeah, I completely forgot about that. So fun that I got to meet the designer of the garment that I'm wearing, or I was wearing. And then my last thing, there was one thing on my must buy, none of us need to buy anything, as I was looking for like a light dusty pink sock yarn for my Christmas socks. And I didn't find what I was looking for. And so then Eula from Volan Twine had a 15% off Socktober sale. And so I took the opportunity to buy some Ovis sock yarn, which I've never worked with. I've knit up a lot of Eula's fiber and socks, but I've never worked up this. So I feel like this is what she's famous for. So I took the opportunity. It is 50% Jacob, 50% Cheviot. And I just think it's really lovely. Like, look at that like tone, like beautiful. And I'm gonna hold it with so I'm gonna do hang on, I'm really bad with names, y'all. Linaria socks from In Her Skein. And so this is gonna be my main color, and then I'm gonna hold it, I'm gonna do the coloring with this one. And so it doesn't, like, it definitely could be Christmassy colors, but also could be like Valentine colors, could be autumnal colors, could be spring colors. Like, I tried to really pick, like last year my Christmas socks were very Christmassy, but this year I kind of just wanted something that felt festive when I wanted to be festive and felt just like sweet and feminine when it wasn't Christmas season. So I think this is gonna be really lovely. I'm gonna try to get out a pair of socks and a pair of mittens out of both of these. I'm gonna do the socks first, and then if I don't have enough yarn, I'll do the mittens main color. I'd love to do the mittens and the socks the main color with this Volan Twine, but we'll see. If not, then I'll use this as a main color for the mittens and then do this as the contrast color. We'll see what happens. But yeah, so that's all I bought this month, and hopefully for a while it's all I bought. Thanks for hanging in with me, friends. Let me know how your Socktober ended up. Like I said, every year, however many pair of socks I knit, I end up donating a pair of socks. So I'll end up donating 2 packs of socks to the place where my husband works. I encourage you, even if you didn't knit a pair of socks, socks are some of the least donated items to homeless in our communities. So please donate a pair of socks to end October, especially with winter coming. It's gonna be really cold, and that's a great way to help those in our community who this time of year is really hard for. So, but let me know, sorry, that's my spiel. Let me know how your Socktober went, or anything else you're knitting on that excites you. Thank you so much for watching. It's always a joy to be here with you. Like I always say, and I truly mean, please reach out and say hello. Send me what you're working on. Like, feel free to type it below, but also feel free to send me a picture on Instagram. I'll put that below. And yeah, I would love to see what you're working on and turn this into a dialogue. So goodbye, friends. That's all I have for you. It's probably too long. It's probably gonna be like an hour and a half, but it means so much to be here with you, and have a good day. Bye, friends.